Hello and welcome to another episode of Roy B. the Middleman podcast, Season 2, Episode 5, I believe. The last one was Episode 4. I really need to check before I start this.
Yeah. Should we start again and check it then?
Anyway, the last one was on location in Uluru, and now we're back home here on the Gold Coast in Australia, Queensland. And this episode, it's all going to be about money. Talking about conscious relationships with the abundance and wealth and all those kinds of things. And I'm also with my lovely lady, my beloved Aida Jasmine, who's a co-host on this season and till whenever.
In life.
In life, yeah. Co-host in life. So without further ado, we go into the intro.
Conjuring the middleman, wisdom from Marlin's man. Roy B. the middleman, set yourself free.
Excellent. So yeah, welcome back everyone who's listening. And again, gratitude for all those that tuned into the previous episodes and all the other episodes that I've recorded and that you've come across at a later time. And for those also watching on YouTube. So anybody that wants to go over to YouTube, especially for the last episode, because it was filmed on location in Uluru, Katajuta, which is Ayers Rock for those that don't know where Uluru is. And you've got all those beautiful views and backdrops and all those amazing things. And also remember to like and subscribe the channel, and then you get to hit the notification bell, and then you get notified whenever there's a new episode. So without further ado, I'm going French now. I'm saying goodbye in French. That's not the case. So what we'll do, we're talking about money and the energy of money and how we interact with that. Because it's obviously a very, very big thing for nearly everyone on the planet, that we have these money blocks and wonder why we can't attract wealth, and all these sayings about having to work hard for a living and all those things that we'll get more and more into as the show progresses. And but now I'll hand you over for a little bit with my co-host Aida and let her talk about her take on money and abundance and wealth and all those things.
Amazing.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, like even in that intro, it's like money. And I could already feel a lot of resistance from the collective. So even if because these are recorded and not live, we still tap into the collective energy of the consciousness of the people on the planet, right? So the moment, whenever you are listening to this, we feel that collective energy. So the moment you go, money, I can feel the resistance to that. People are already saying, oh, that's just greed, or that's just wrong, or you have to do bad things to earn money or to make money, or, there's this collective energy that we were raised with potentially or have received from our society, that money is evil, that money is the root of all evil, that, and all this stuff that I just spoke to before about money. However, money is simply energy. And a lot of us have blocks, well, I'm going to say in the past, have had blocks around money. And that is primary, again, from that 0 to 7 imprint that we spoke about from our second episode, the first one being all about conscious relationships. The second one being about the conscious relationship you have with yourself. That 0 to 7 imprint is often where our perception of money comes from. And money is energy, because let me tell you, if everyone withdrew all the money out of the bank, there wouldn't be enough actually printed money on the planet. There just isn't. So money really is zeros and ones printed on bank statements, or not even printed anymore, right? You can get this stuff electronically. There's zeros and ones. And hopefully a few other digits from 1 to 9, right? But you get my concept that money is simply energy. Money is simply numbers. And what you attract, what you're then able to keep, and what goes out is all really from your belief system and from your energy and receptivity to money. And this is the premise of this discussion today.
Yeah, absolutely. and money being energy, and the things that we learned when we was, whoever raised us, and what their belief around money was, that become our belief. And a lot of people out there, they think like breaking habits is smoking and drinking and gambling, but the best habit you can break, if you've got a consider to be a bad relationship with money, is break that relationship you have with money that's keeping you in the lower social economic side of things. And once you start breaking that habit, so for instance, like we can do a lot of mantras and say, I'm wealthy this, I'm wealthy that. But if you're saying those kind of mantras day in, day out, but then when you go to the shops and do your weekly shop, and instead of getting the things that you want, the brand that you want, you still buy the cheap supermarket brand, you're not practicing what you're preaching to yourself. You're basically showing the universe going, yeah, I'm saying it, but I'm not doing it. And the universe only backs up in what you do. So if you then start buying the brands that you want, which over a weekly shop, this is going to vary depending on how big your family is, of course, it might only add another 10, 20 pounds / dollars, depending on where you are in the world, rupees, if I think it's still rupees in India, or wherever you are in the world. And it's not a massive difference. And then you realize that when you start doing that, just your money amount, energy-wise, grows in accordance to what you're practicing. And this extra quote-unquote money comes out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden you're buying better brands, better food, you're improving your health and all these things. It's the same with clothing. If you're always buying the cheap brand and then you start to spend money on the better brands, okay, you can do research if you really want to and find a lower amount brand that's still good quality, of course. I'm not doubting that's out there. But again, it's still the same principle. You're showing the universe that you're willing to not spend money, but circulate money into the flow. And I'll allow Aida to talk about the flow in a second and how that works. And, as you circulate that money, what you put out into the universe comes back threefold, tenfold, 1,000-fold, whatever your belief and whatever it is for the highest good of all involved in that circulation. And that's how money works. It's energy. Every exchange, everything that we do with another person, there's an energy exchange. So whatever services, if you hire a plumber and the most common energy exchange around the planet is money. It's an energy exchange for what they feel they're worth, or in regards to a plumber or an electrician or a tradie, tends to be what the government has set as their worth. There tends to be a set industry amount for what electricians can charge, what plumbers can charge, what chippies can charge, that kind of thing. And it's the same with a lot of industries where there's some people work for themselves that work with the value of money, with their value, and their energy exchange is according to what their worth is. We're both psychic mediums. There's no set industry fee for that. It's like we know our worth and we charge that accordingly. So
Value.
in value, yeah. And even in that regard, you always get what you pay for. Because in other words, you're buying what you actually think you're worth. And the more you expand what you're worth, the more you actually circulate. Or in more common terms, the more you actually spend. And then the more you're putting in the flow, and the more the flow then comes back to you. So there you go, into the flow. So Aida to talk about the flow.
Thank you. That flow is fundamental to life. So even as you're listening or watching this podcast, you're naturally breathing. There's an inflow and outflow. It's in your subconscious, right? So that's something that happens unconsciously or subconsciously. So is the money exchange, believe it or not. So it's that simple. It can be that simple and as easy a flow as your breath, because it's what we put value on. We value our breath. And, are we consciously holding our breath because we feel like we'll never get another breath again? I mean, that statement just sounds, it sounds ridiculous, right? Unless, of course, you are terminally ill or you're on your deathbed and stuff, in which case every breath is precious. And I truly believe that every breath is precious on this planet. But we can often put overvalue on something like money. Like, when you receive it, do you put it straight away in the bank, or do you feel like you need to hoard it because there isn't enough of it to circulate? And if there's one thing that I do with you today is change your word spend to circulate. You no longer spend money, because when you spend a breath, when you spend money, it disappears, poof, it goes into the ether, never to return, right? That's what we consider when we spend money. Oh gosh, that was hard-earned money that I'm now putting over for rent or food, and hopefully those high-value items in your life, such as those things. However, I was going to say, you always have money for the things that you value. And that is primarily food. And it's only when we have a scarcity or lower vibrational concept of our value is when we overspend on stuff that we don't have. It's so easily accessible to get things on purchase, on credit card and Afterpay these days for stuff that we use to fill a hole, right? Rather than allowing that to do, this is deep work on your value, so that you're not trying to supplicate that hole with external sources, such as things you purchase with money, such as money. Do you chase money because that's going to show the world how value you are, or show that you're worth something? Let me tell you, my loves, you are an infinite child of the universe. You are here on this planet for a specific reason. There is nothing you need to do or be outside of yourself to prove your worth to anyone or anything. You are the universe incarnate in this beautiful divine body. You don't have to prove anything to receive anything. Yeah. And that's going to sound contradictory a little bit later when the stuff that's coming through for me to already share with you, but when we say showing our value or living our value, we can all go, oh yeah, well, I'm worth $1,000. But if your belief system is such that you grew up with those, money's hard to come by, money's a root of all evil, money, like a fool and his money is easily parted. And if you have that belief system tapped into your genome, into your DNA, then it doesn't matter how many mantras you do, how many spellcasts you do, or how many meditations you do, that isn't going to really shift until you shift the money block. And as you said about habits, we're shifting habits to higher habits to serve you.
Yeah, replacing one habit with another. So let's get into the nitty-gritty a bit. Things that I guarantee some people watching and listening to this show,
Gonna be true.
and those that are watching, like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be great. The nitty-gritty is things that you say to yourself. Oh, I can't afford. How many times a day do you say, oh, I can't afford this, can't afford that? Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for a living. Oh, only evil people have, hoard the money, or if you believe, that there's only 1% of the population own 99% of the wealth. All that talk where you're basically you're really saying to yourself, I don't deserve wealth. I don't deserve abundance. That's literally what you're saying, just in a different way. So and if you are saying those things, or anything that you can think of that's akin to what I've just mentioned, it's time to start replacing that with a better version. I'm always abundant. Money is an infinite resource. And interesting enough, when Aida was talking about, breath, we never ever think oxygen's going to run out. Yet in our lifetime, it's a finite resource. We only have a certain amount of breaths before we then pass. Money is an infinite resource because it's made of energy. And because it's made of energy can't be destroyed. It either gets transmuted or it grows. Yeah. And if you can learn to tap into that resource of money, or basically energy, and trust that it's energy, it's only ever going to grow. And the way the universal laws work, what you put in, you get out. According, threefold, fivefold, tenfold, depending on what it is that what your belief system is, how you were raised. So look at how you were raised. Was you raised in a working class family? That would come along with, oh, we don't have the money for that, can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's a limited resource, because they only ever looked at what they got week to week. They lived from week to week. They had a wage from week to week, and they had to spread that across for food, and it meant you couldn't have certain treats, or they couldn't buy you certain presents for birthday and Christmas, all those kinds of things. That's still in your psyche. That's still in your belief system. That's a major running highway in your neurological pathways, creating that, which then creates your reality, which then you're saying I can't afford things. You're actually the one creating the things that you can't afford.
And may I just say that often when we're looking above, and we're like, look at all these people that have all this money, and that you're not able to tap into that, and that you feel like you have nothing by comparison. However, if you perhaps go and work in a homeless shelter for a day and volunteer at one of those places, you'll come back to a value of appreciation for what you truly do have. And when you said about belief systems, how do we shift our money belief? It's starting to shift our belief systems. So shifting the way you speak will start to shift your belief systems. Yeah. And then that will start to shift your reticular activation system, or what you see around, because what you are constantly saying, your belief system, is what you attract. It's what you value. So if we start to shift, those belief systems start to shift, then we start to see opportunities arise. We start to see the value of things. And it's the value you place on yourself is exactly what you said about feeding yourself high quality foods. I'm no longer going to buy, fast food or sugary treats, because you're, potentially could be feeding a hole within you, like value within you. Or it could be this cycle and pattern. But if you love this body temple, then you want to nourish it. And then that places a higher value on not only on the food that you buy, the money that you are circulating to receive this, but also the value of your body and receptive. So just like that breath, we want to ensure that we're constantly circulating money. And, we're already giving you a couple of tips today on how to shift the money belief. It's like, as soon as you say, that money is so hard to come by, it's like, actually, no. There's plenty of money in the world. That belief system, just look around you. There is absolutely plenty of money in the world. You just have a belief system that it's not accessible for you for some reason. And that's the shift we need to make. That's the shift we need to change.
And you can actually look this up. I think during COVID, there was more millionaires created during COVID when the whole world was in lockdown than the previous 10 years. Where was the money coming from? And and if you turn around and say, "Oh yeah, but I bet they were pharmaceutical and blah," and go down there, you're just denying what's
possible.
What's possible. Look at what's possible for you. Look, if you don't like truly wealthy people, because you think about why? Because let's take Richard Branson, for instance, billionaire, I'm guessing, but look how many people he employs. Look how much wealth he is actually spreading across the world through all the companies he owns and all the people he employs, who then, by proxy, they then go and spend more money. Or that, their managers might employ, and they might have sub-companies who employ, and all of a sudden, his wealth is getting circulated and shared. So if you can say, like, he's not hoarding the money, he's not. He's just using it to build wealth, and and they have assets, and they just spread it differently, and they just play the game differently. There's something very interesting that I read not so long back in regards to money. Poor people think money is for paying bills. Middle class people think money is for buying things like liabilities, like cars. And if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, you'll understand what the difference between an asset and a liability. A car is a liability as much as it's a necessity. It's still a liability because it costs you more over the time than it does purchasing it. And it doesn't bring you back, apart from the really old classic cars. But even, but they're few and far between. But, middle class spend their money on things but the rich people use money to make more money.
Invest.
They know how to use the energy of money to basically grow it. They're basically planting, for want of a better analogy, they're planting money to grow more money. They just know the ins and outs and how to do that. And it's something that we can all learn if we choose to take that time to learn. And, just quickly, because I don't want to get too down this rabbit hole, but like, if you say I haven't got the time, I can guarantee the people, if you're saying that, you're spending 3 or 4 hours at night watching TV or a movie, social media during the day, just wasting, well, not wasting time, but because it depends on your life, of course. But that, if you're sitting there blaming rich people for having all the money and you not having any, and you're sitting on social media and watching a TV show that for the third time around, and you're not utilizing your time to expand your knowledge base around how money works, how energy works, you're wasting your time. As harsh as that might, if that's coming across harsh, this is a good lesson. And this is exactly what my podcasts are about. It's here to wake you up. It's a spiritual journey across many different facets. And it all leads to energy. Everything is energy. Our breath is energy. And it's forever expanding. As much as our life is on a limited plane in this lifetime, money is part of that energy. And it's only ever grown. There's more billionaires now than there were 10 years ago. Money's always growing. It can't ungrow. It can't get less. And when you truly, truly, truly 100% believe that, that's the first step into becoming more abundant. And abundance is a different thing to wealth.
Yes. We'll speak to that in a minute. But then look at, often, like I said before, we're looking up and going, oh, but, they had rich parents or they were given money. And it's like, okay, then look to people at your level that have done that, because it shows that anything is possible. And when we're talking energy, I am all about your pure potentiality. Like, I really love diving into everyone's uniqueness and what your unique gifts and talents are, because, dear ones, you do have a unique talent, and that we are here to express that unique talent into the world. And like we even said, I think last podcast, was that we need everyone on this earth, and everyone has gifts to share. And we do need like road builders, and we need supermarket people that helps to build, stack shelves, and we need bank tellers, and we need like every part of that chain, bus drivers, truck drivers, farmers. We need every part of that train to sustain our life cycle. Not everyone's meant to be, I don't even want to say Bill Gates, but not everyone's meant to be like the billionaires
Super
up
rich.
there, but we are very much meant to be in our own unique expression. And money being an infinite resource, which means there is no beginning and there is no end, then it's easy to tap into that with your belief system. And you change your beliefs, and then your beliefs change you. And then you start to open your reality, open your opportunities, and look to those who have done it from nothing. Because let me tell you, a couple of YouTube or Google or search engines on your web browser will show you the infinite possibilities that many have done, but they have one thing in common, and it's a belief system. And then they support themselves, and then they get other people to support them along the way. And they're not afraid to fail, because failing is simply trying, and that's what we're here to do. It's just another way. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Then what's another way around it? And what's another way around it? Fear is the greatest thing that will ever hold you back, and it's false evidence appearing real. Yeah, it holds us back in the greatest way, because we don't want to look stupid. We're scared of failing, whatever failing might mean to you. But then you just said riches, abundance, wealth, prosperity, all of those things can be different things, but you can be rich in love. You can be wealthy with family. You can be abundance with joy and happiness. It's the same energy, influence as money. So if you start to say, yeah, I'm rich. I've got rich friends who are just so supportive of me. I have a beloved partner. I feel so wealthy. If you start to look at where you're rich, where you're abundant, and where you're wealthy, then it will start to show you other areas of your life that is abundant, wealthy, rich, prosperous. The universe will continue to show us. It shows us daily in nature. Continuously, death and rebirth cycle of expanding and growing. Plant doesn't stay this big forever. It's got to expand and grow, and so must we. But you will remain the same if you don't change the pot environment that you are in. Belief system. You keep a shark in a small tank, it ain't going to grow any bigger because it's limited by its capacity of where it is. However, you put a shark in a bigger tank, it's going to start to grow. And then you put it in a bigger tank, and it's going to start to grow. Same with your reticular activation system. Same with your own belief systems. Once you start to oscillate and shift and look around you, are these friends serving me? Are these oh, sorry, peeps, harsh, right? But then there's this, I can't remember who said it, but one of the like high profile guys was saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah. You go in the room that you want to grow and expand and start to connecting with like-minded people, and not those that just want to make money to fill a void or just want to make money out of greed, or there's a different capacity. Money should be a direct, and I use that word should very deliberately, reflection on how you are contributing to society, on how much you are willing to be of service to this planet, how much we are ready to open, give, and receive, just like that breath.
Yeah, exactly. And in regards to if you're the smartest person in the room, someone else said, like, you're a product of the 6 people around you.
Yeah.
So if you're hanging around with lower socioeconomic, people always complain about rich people and stuff like that, and you want to move out of that,
Reinforcing
that's the pot.
System.
That's the pot that Aida was talking about. That's the container that Aida was. You're going to have to move away from them.
Yeah.
If you truly want to break that habit, and if you truly want to become more abundant, you've got to go and hang out with people that speak positively about wealthy people, that speak positively about money, that speak positively about wealth, that speak positively about abundance, that are open to receiving and growing, open to recirculate, open to circulating more money. Because as your wealth grows, your circulation grows. Just like the roots of a tree, as the tree gets bigger, its root system grows first before it, the underground grows first. It does in essence, it does the inner work first before the outer work then, because it's got to build the support. It's got to build the structure, the support structure before it grows on the external that we see.
And just like the shark, a tree can only grow to the space that it has. So if you're in this small container, in this small pot as a tree, you can only grow as big as that tree will permit, or that pot will permit. But that's why we transplant it into a bigger pot or into the earth and just watch it expand and grow. Little bonsai trees, right? They can only grow to the size of their little pot, and then they're trimmed delicately to maintain them to that size. You can trim and delicately keep yourself in that space if it's a conscious realization that is exactly what you're doing.
So let's talk about abundance.
Can I just add one thing very quickly?
Certainly.
Just because we said about friends and wanting to expand, if you're teaching in a room and you are the smartest person in the room about that, perfect. But then ensure that your group of friends is one that's elevating, constantly growing and expanding, right? So there's a difference between hanging out in a room. But then if you believe, and I want to make this point very delicately, if you believe all rich people are evil, isn't it time that you became the change? Be the change you wish to see in the world. So we're incredibly abundant in so many areas of our life. And I had certainly had a belief system that money is the root of all evil, and that, rich people had to do bad things to get money. I'm like, well, with my money, I'm investing in more. I'm growing, and I'm going to give and receive, because I wanted to be that change. I wanted to make a point that not all rich people were evil, not all rich people were bad, and that you could do good and be rewarded even more abundantly than those that don't. Yeah, so be the change that you wish to see. And why don't you be the one that shifts that paradigm that not all rich people are evil or bad or get their money from bad sources. Be that change.
Exactly. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can start.
100%.
You can start. There's so many, I think Samuel L. Jackson didn't hit his first big movie till he was in his 50s, same as Morgan Freeman. And
James Bond.
Yeah, and you look at all the footballers, like soccer players, that are all, a lot of them were born out of, it's one of the biggest sports in the world where they mostly come from the Catholic, England specifically, they come from the council estates. The lower socioeconomic class, yes, they've got a skill that they utilise, that they got discovered by, but they then still became millionaires, and then they start to utilise their money. They get their family out of all that, and then
They had to
there's a
also
rule that they have to
share
pay a
that
certain
power.
amount for charities. So the whole system itself does a lot of good things,
Give and receive.
and that's their skill. We've all got a skill that can bring us into this happiness. And it's not about, we don't all have to go into this millionaire wealth. This is where the abundance comes in. It's like, if we're doing it's the saying, if you're doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And if you're happy being a bus driver and you're only earning, and you're on, let's say, 50,000 a year, dollars, pounds, wherever you are in the world, and you're happy and you're abundant and you've got more than enough, and you're happy buying the supermarket brand beans, and that's where your abundance sits. It's your abundance and wealth sits in happiness rather than in money itself. That's a beautiful place to be as well. That's an amazing place to be, because you'll share that just by your energy, your aura. And people will often say, "Oh, I love that bus driver because they're always so happy, and they're just." And some people might go, yeah, but they're really poor. Like that, they just live in a little 2-bedroom place and that they rent and blah, blah, blah. And they're probably one of the happiest people in town, because they just look at the world differently and they're just happy with what they got. They don't want to expand too much, just like there are, using Aida's reference in regards to plants and pots. They're happy that they're with the pot they're in. They get watered regularly. They get plenty of sun. They don't want to expand out of that pot, and they're more than happy. And it's okay to be that way too. Perfectly okay to be that way too. And that's not hitting your limit, but it's you're choosing your limit. And there's a difference. If you want to move beyond that, you can change that thought process in a moment and go, you know what? Yeah, I've had 10 years of being happy with where I'm at. I'm being a bus driver. Now I'm going to grow. Now I'm going to learn some new things. I'm going to read some books. I'm going to watch some videos and learn some things and expand. Maybe you choose to learn how the stock market works and make greater money through that, because you want to a great bigger wealth to hand down to your kids/grandkids, or you want to be benevolent, and when you pass, give it to charity or stuff like that. You can make that choice in any given moment on any day of your life, no matter how old or young you are. I mean, so with certain skills, there's 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds utilising the internet to make tens of thousands of dollars /pounds. It's just the information we have available because of the internet now makes it much, much easier to be more and more abundant, not just with money, but with health, with wealth, with our mindset. It's just there, literally at our fingertips. Go on YouTube, type in "change my mindset" on a certain area of your life. There'll be hundreds, if not thousands, of videos, and you can find one that resonates with you. Watch that every day, because we listen to a money meditation video, and we've got 2 slightly different people that we listen to, just because one resonates with me slightly better than it does Aida.
And even though we're teaching this, it's important for us to have external resources, mentors, guides that continue to reinforce that energy within us. So that's the important thing. As you were saying about, with how people are capped, you do reach a threshold, and that's a threshold of your value. Yeah. And that's what we want. The universe is constantly expanding, and that compels us to constantly expand. And whatever you value, like you said, it doesn't have to be money. It can be freedom. It can be security. It can be your health is your greatest wealth. Because if you could have all the money in the world and you could have all the friends in the world, but if you're not well enough to enjoy it, what was that all for anyway? Yeah. And a lot of rich people go, I don't even know who my true friends are. Or they get rich and they blow it straight away. People who win the lotto, within 2 years, the research is out there, my loves, within 2 years, and it's over 90%, are poorer, are worse off than when they won the lotto. So it's not that money's not easily accessible, which certainly is, but it's your value to it and learning to use it wisely. Use it as a resource, as an energy exchange, as an investment, because that's the third thing. Well, the next thing that, wealthy people do, they use money as an investment. They're constantly reinvesting in things. You invest in your health, you invest in your knowledge, you invest in your mindset. That is what's going to create the shift. And there's a lot of incredible free resources out there. I'm running a money manifestation course in next week that's available by donation, purely because I don't want people to use money as a block anymore, because I truly believe that there is so much available that I'm wanting to eliminate scarcity. But I know that there's a whole, like I'm trying to stay in front of this whole train that's backing up going, yeah, but that likes to keep people small, likes to keep people stuck. And then there's the shift. It's the belief system. And make your beliefs, and then your beliefs will make you, because it will shift your energy, and that's what you're able to then attract.
Yep.
And when you know better, you do better, and then you attract better.
Yeah, knowledge is power, and the more knowledgeable you are applied knowledge is power. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like if you got all these books that are on your bookshelf and you're not reading them, that's
Shelf knowledge.
shelf development. That is shelf development. My friend Lou said that in episode 8, I believe,
cool.
the Detoxing the Goddess. She used that term, shelf development, which is it was very accurate and very funny and very beautiful term. It's like you got all these books or all these videos that you're not watching. What are they doing there?
Yeah, knowledge is
Spend the
power.
time.
Applied knowledge is more powerful still. Take something, apply it, then do something, and then apply it. Because, as we age, what worked for us here doesn't work for us anymore. So, even with our own health or our fitness, like we used to walk we used to go to the gym and it used to feel good, but then you get to a certain age and we need to shift and change. The universe is constantly evolving, and so must we.
And let's take a high physical job that's not that well paid, which there's so many of them out there. If you're not investing in your health, that's a very short term. You get to 30, 40, in other words, your body starts to not enjoy this hard labor on it. You're pushing your body all the time to do this work, and you're not investing in your health, therefore your wealth. Sooner or later, you're either going to get forced to change careers. And if you're not prepared for that, that's a very harsh lesson, brutal lesson from the universe about looking after your health, looking after your wealth, looking at future planning, and a whole myriad of other lessons that could be included in that. And we've all got unique talents. We may not start with them, but they're there when we were born. And those are the ones that's going to, once we've got the courage to go after them, it doesn't matter what the earning potential is of that. If that's our unique talent and we love doing that, there's always a market for it. Like there's, with the advent of phones, and there's a gazillion photographers out there. But when you really look at it, how many quality photographers are out there? Or there's photographers that just see the world in a unique way, and they might use a camera phone as their medium for actually recording that. And they're making thousands, tens of thousands from photographs just because they're doing it completely different to what anyone else has ever done it. And there's always a niche market to find that has enough customers to make you wealthy, if depending on the wealth you want to hit. I worked out with a client of mine recently that he only has to serve over a 30-year lifetime, something like 12,000 people mentoring, and he'd hit $48 million.
And how many people was that a week? Because we worked that out to only be like only a couple.
Yeah, it was only like 3 a week. Mentoring 3 clients a week over 30 years. And then bearing in mind, like, once people hit 18, they're going to, your resource, which is people, is forever evolving because there's people being born, people are growing. That resource is always going to be there across 30 years, 12,000 people across 30 years, which worked out 2-3 weeks. So you could work 3 days a week and earn 48 million. And so you could half that and earn 24, and half that again and earn 12. That's more than enough in a lifetime for anybody, really, to have a really abundant life.
If invested wisely.
If invested wisely. And all you have to do in the beginning is invest in yourself to become skilled in your profession. And he's a musician, so he self-taught music. And I said, well, incorporate that into your mentorship, into how you work with people, because you're already skilled at that. You're already an expert. You know, if you know more than anybody in the room, you're considered an expert. Even if you know one thing more than someone else and you can share that with them, they will consider you to be an expert. But we think experts have been doing their trade and craft for 20, 30 years. Not all the time. Like, you could get a 19-year-old that's worked with Photoshop for the last 5 or 6 years, can put online courses on the internet showing people how to use Photoshop, and all he's doing is sharing what they've learned, set them at a certain price. They can earn money. And they're 19 and they're considered an expert. They don't have to show themselves. They just have to claim. They don't have to tell people how old they are. They just have to do a little bit of a bio of what they know and their knowledge, and people presume. The one thing I found, and Idea will definitely resonate with this, uses the analogy. When I first started martial arts, many, many, many years ago, when he said people, I'm doing martial arts, they automatically thought I was a black belt. Just one of those curiosities. Nobody thinks that there's this learning phase to get to black belt, which is quite a long time, depending on the martial art you do. Yeah. But the point being is it's that perception of people when it comes to expertise.
And may I just say too, like, there's no saturation of market. If you have something unique, then incredible. Please share that with the world. But if you go to a supermarket, look at the bread aisle. How many different brands of bread are there? Look at the water aisle in a supermarket. How many different bottles and types and brands of water are there? I'm sorry, that stuff that comes out of the tap. And yes, I know there's different types of water, my beloveds. I know. So I'm also very careful with the water that I drink. However, there is no such thing as a saturation of market. It is your unique signature, your unique thumbprint. Because let me tell you, you are the only one out of all the people that have ever walked this earth and who will ever walk it again that will have your unique fingerprint. So your unique energy signature will attract different people. Whilst we may do very similar roles as psychic mediums and healers in this lifetime, both of you, even just hearing us speaking and watching us, you'd feel the difference, resonance and energy. Some people will love Roy and go, oh, that woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Some people go, oh, love Aida. Yeah, Roy's got some good points too. Like, because our energy signatures are different. So this is why we're eliminating scarcity from the planet, because that's why you meet people and some people become friends and some people just become acquaintances and some people just pass by, because we're not meant to connect with every single person on the planet, even though we are interconnected energetically. But our energy signature will attract different people. And I always love to share. And by you sharing your unique gifts and even sharing what you know about money, it's like, oh, I manifested a coffee. Well, let me tell you, when someone gives you a cup of coffee, that's like putting $5 in your wallet, right? Because you didn't have to pay for that coffee. If you get I love this one. Like, this is what I teach in my money courses, is like if you get a discount from the supermarket, you go buy a dress and it's half price, that's effectively the other half of that price in your pocket. That is money gifted back to you. When you look at specials or savings or discounts in that way, that it's money given back to you in your pocket, you start to feel really abundant. And as you walk around, you go, actually, I can buy that thing and I can have that thing and that thing is for me. But I'm choosing to pay my rent this year or this week or my mortgage, or I'm choosing to invest in my body by purchasing and eating nourishing foods. So you have this resource, money, and you're choosing to invest it back in your home, your dwelling, wherever you may be living, or whatever your dwelling is at the time. The food that you're consuming, that's an asset and that's a value and that's a resource that you're investing in. It's what you're then using. So then look at that as an investment. But one day, I can definitely have that thing. I can definitely have that new car. The moment you start to say, yes, that is for me, like I just got tingles down to my toes. The moment I say that is for me, it is already on its way to you. The universe is like, all right, let's start to bring this thing. And it's only our human capacity that then goes, oh, but it's just too hard. Or, oh no, but money doesn't, oh no, I don't know how ever know how I'm going to get that thing. That is not for you to work out.
Yeah. When you're manifesting, especially when it comes to money, the universe we'll always ask one question when you try and ask. So for those that manifest out there and know what that's about, this is a whole different podcast, manifesting. If you ask the universe going, I want $10,000, pounds, lira, yen, rupee, whatever it is, the universe will always ask for one question. What do you want it for? And then you'll say, oh, a car. Then ask for a car and tell me what kind of car you want and what colour. And it goes into all that. But like I said, that's a whole podcast in itself. Going back to what Aida was talking about with our uniqueness, you ask so many business people out there that know how to work with the energy of money. You never buy the product. You always buy the person.
Yeah.
And if you trust that person, if you believe they're an expert, you're far more likely to buy from them, no matter how good the product is with the person next to them that you don't trust, or that you haven't resonated with, that you don't value. And it's that simple. So, you know, one of the greatest things you can do is learn to believe in your own value. That's what you then emanate out, and then that's what people respond with. I was very careful in saying selling yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole different connotation. You make yourself valuable, but the first way you do that is by believe that you're valuable. Believe you have valuable in your local community. You know, there are tradies that are 10 a penny. There's 1,000 plumbers in any given environment, and you're always going to find the one that, even if you're just looking through the white pages or looking on the internet, even through that medium, there's going to be something that you'll resonate with that will make you choose that person. They could have 50 reviews that they're a bad plumber, but that you'll just read the one where they're a good plumber, and they'll come to you and they'll do a good job. So are they a bad plumber, or were they just the wrong plumber for those other 50 people? Or were some of those 50 people just really so pernickety that they picked on the slightest little bit that, you know, just to try and, because sometimes there are people out there that will pick on everything because they don't value themselves, so they try and get the price down. They'll find fault in anything to get the price down because they don't value. And the universe will respond that.
They believe that money is a limited resource.
So they'll always find, whatever they book, whatever they pay for, will always have issues because that's what they're manifesting. They want things with faults so they can find the faults. So they don't believe in quality of things. In other words, they don't believe in the quality of themselves. So I guarantee they'll find fault with themselves all the time, and they just don't want to own it, and they're doing it on they'll be projecting that externally, which is a whole nother podcast. You know, and it just shows you that when it comes to the energy of money, how that links in with everything, because it's really about the value of yourself. How much do you truly value yourself? And you can easily find that out by looking at how you buy things, how you circulate your money, what you choose daily not to spend on. Like if you've got a type of coffee that you like but don't want to buy it because it's too expensive, quote unquote, for those that are listening rather than watching on YouTube. Look at what you're refusing to buy because you don't think you can afford it. In other words, what you don't think you're worthy of. And then start to change it. Just go and buy it anyway.
Can I just quickly add just there? We're not telling you to over-exert yourself, not telling you to overspend on things, and not telling you to go over and beyond what circulate to the greatest value that you can. Yeah. Prioritize and use it as an investment in yourself. Because we're not telling you to go buy the most expensive thing thinking that's going to be good for you, and then you're like, oh God, now I'm even in more debt. There's no such thing as debt. However, another podcast again, because you've overextended yourself. So buy the greatest that you can. And you will always attract, so you were talking about a plumber before, you will always attract if you believe that you're getting the very best you can. And ask the questions. If you're selecting a service, then ask what you're going to get out of it. This is what you need. And it's because often our value is so low, our self-worth, that we're too afraid to ask. We're too afraid to, and then we have this victim mentality, and that's what we attract. right? But when we have a sense of value, okay, this is the best that I've got right now, and I'm going to use it to invest in a plumber or some food, and I'm going to get the best value I can. Watch that energy shift, and you will attract the best value for that. Because I have often done free courses. I've done them next to nothing not because I don't lessen my value, it's because I know. And I often do sponsorship stuff, right, too, and scholarships, because I believe that there are people that just need this little bit of a invite, a little bit of a push, a little bit of a draw card. And when I send that out into the universe, I trust that I'm going to get the people that are going to affect change. Because you could be buying the very best thing and nothing is going to shift in you because your value of yourself hasn't shifted. Yeah. So there's no point in just spending this hard earned money because your value hasn't shifted and you're not going to do anything about it. It's like spending money on all these courses and actually not affecting the change that's required for that. Applied knowledge is true power. So if you've got this much right now, then it's like, I'm going to get the very best I can with this. I'm going to invest in this wisely, in my home, in my food, and like prioritize what you need. And then that other thing, that's for me. I'm going to have that. But what is it that you're wanting that for? Are you wanting the new car to just keep up with the Joneses, keep up with the neighbors, right? But there's no reason why you can't have a beautiful new car because one, it's safe for you to travel in, you're doing great distances, or you love and enjoy the comfort, but you're not sacrificing your health, your wealth for that thing just to externally validate your resources or your self-image, because that, my love, is where most people then end up getting themselves in a situation where they are worse off than when they first started.
And another thing as well with money, treat it like your friend.
Yeah,
Money's your
like
best
a
friend.
lover.
Yeah, lover, beloved. And if you're always treating money badly, like wasting it on this, that, and the other, money's going to start leaving. It's going to go, well, I don't want to hang around. You're not treating me nice. You treat money nice, and it will go, I'm going to invite more of my friends then, you know. You treat a $50 note nice, it'll bring its friends. Yeah. And it'll start bringing green ones, depending on, again, it depends on where you live in the world. I don't know all the world's currencies and colours. I'm talking Australian money here.
Green's 100 too.
Green's 100, yeah, that's the highest denomination you can get note-wise. And the 50s are called a pineapple.
Can I just say here
that
too?
colour.
Yeah, the yellow orangey colour. Like, you could get a $50 note and you can adorn it and put like lots of sprinkles on it and diamantes on it. Doesn't change its value, right? Or you could scrunch it up and just throw it in a bag. It's not going to change its value, only your perception of it.
Yeah, but
right?
the energy you're treating that money with
is what
that's what, because like we said at the start of this, money is energy, and what you put out energetically, the universe sends back amplified. So if you're putting all this negativity out around money, it's going to bring it back, and it's going to amplify, and it's going to show you and keep showing you that. And then until you learn the lesson of going, okay, I'm complaining about money too much. In other words, I am sending this negative energy out about a resource that currently on the planet is the most used resource. Yeah. And
easily accessible too.
And it's not going to be your friend. So it's not going to work with you. And it's going to be hard to come by. Because you're going to say, because this negative energy, it's going to breed more negative energy, and you're going to find more things to say that's going to strengthen that negative habit around this infinite resource.
And may I just say too that the universe is always responding as a yes to you. So even though you're saying, but I'm asking for more money, but if your energy again isn't vibrating or oscillating and the belief system isn't quite shifted, then you'll start to attract money, but it will go out just as quickly. You'll suddenly have an expense that was unexpected, So what the universe does is go, okay, you're asking for $1 million, and you said why. However, I have a belief system that you don't have to justify why you want money, right? But if you can place a value on it, you can't just go, I just want $1 million, like what you said, or 110,000.
The whole podcast would explain why the universe goes, what do you want that for? Because the manifesting thing is about, you ask for what you want, I mean, if you wanted to have $10,000 to give to a charity, that's kind of in the realm of the universe goes, what do you want? I want to give it to charity. They'll go, okay, yeah.
But the more that you can actually like feel for yourself the value you can place on that, then that will start to shift your vibration. So yeah, like, okay, I want $10,000. All right. So what would I use with that $10,000? Am I going to keep it in the bank to make me feel safe? Safe in what way? Am I going to use it towards a car? Am I going to use it to help more people by donating it to charity? Because you are shifting the vibration of money and energy in your system. Not because the universe is saying, oh, you need to prove to me what you want it for. The universe doesn't mind. It's only going to give it to you where you're feeling. And often it will start to give you those little bits. This is, people say the universe is testing you. To me, it's showing, and it's starting to show you that it's gifting you towards your vibration. So you're asking for $10,000 and then it gives you 100 or it gives you 1,000 and you're like, oh, well, I wanted 10. Now I haven't got enough. Or it goes, I've given you something, a little bit of what you were asking for. And you're like, oh, cool, I got $1,000. I'm just going to blow it. What are you using those resources for? Right? So the more gratitude you have, if the universe gives you 10 grand, it just knows you're going to blow it because you couldn't treat this little 1,000 with great gratitude. And let me tell you, it's no different manifesting 10,000 it is 10 million. It's about
energy.
your energy, right? Because if your belief system is you can manifest that 10 million and that there's nothing holding you back and the service you can provide to the humanity for that, then that will naturally gravitate to you. It has to. It will do. Unequivocally, without a doubt. Can you feel that energy? But if you believe that that $10,000 or 10 million can only come because I've got to work hard or I've got to do this or I've got to do that and I've got to show, it ain't coming, my loves.
Things
ain't coming.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Things come in a much different, even though money is one of the most common resources that we use to garner things, it's not the only way.
No.
And which is why, you know, that's the bit that's probably could take a whole of the podcast, is that when you ask the universe $10,000, is what do you want it for? A car. There could be other ways to receive a car than just earning $10,000 to then buy that car. So you this is where you tell the universe what you want and then allow the universe to bring it to you. Because during COVID, I manifested a brand new car that was fully paid for. And that's, you know, I could, again, it's a whole story on itself. But it'd all be around manifesting, not around money. Because even though money was involved and it was technically my money that was used, it wasn't there initially. It's just the way that money was gifted at that time by the universe so that I could buy a brand new car, even though I was trying to manifest a decent second-hand car. And the universe went, no, we've got something better for you. Just trust.
If not, there's something better.
Yeah, if not, there's something better. And at one point, this was the test of the universe, I had to empty my bank account exactly. And it's not like I had an exact amount, like $10,000 in there. That it was an odd amount. And that exact amount went out of my bank account. I had nothing. It was only going to be about a week, but it was still like I'm looking at this and I'm looking at all these zeros, and there was nothing left apart from the money in my wallet for a week. And I'm like, okay. But luckily enough, through all the expertise I had to that point, I knew what was happening energetically. So I just sort of looked at my guides, looked at the universe, going, I know what you're doing, so I'm going to do it anyway. That fear, false emotions appearing real, because it was that final test of going, have you got the money? We're going to show you that it's not there physically. But are you going to trust that it's there energetically? Are you going to trust that it's because you're putting in that flow, you're putting in that circulation, you're playing with that universal law of what you give out, you get back. And so I just went, yeah, let's do this. And I think it was yesterday or the day before I got a notification that I'd had that car for 3 years. So,
and how things have evolved rapidly since. Yeah, it's a beautiful, and this is the conscious relationship part. It's that conscious relationship you have with money, with energy, with yourself. And that's the shift in dynamic that we're creating within so that we shift our belief systems, so that we can attract and live this glorious, happy life that we are here to have and experience. And we said money, but it's abundance in general. Look to where you're abundant. Look to the gratitude for the money that you do have. There's more will come for that what you are grateful for. And by sharing that with others, then there's this belief system that scarcity is going to just rob you blind, right? Because it's this fear that there isn't enough. But if you believe that there is always more and more will come, and open to the revenue streams that will come through in different ways. If someone buys you food, then that's one thing you don't have to shop for. So you don't have to use money, circulate money to get food. Yeah, someone buys your coffee, cool. So that's ways of actually having more money in your account, more money in your pocket, or feeling the richness of being supported by the universe, because everything is through the universe, or God, Source, She, Sophia, Gaia, all the faces of the divine you may wish to connect with. Then that's how we're allowing it through to come to us, because we are infinite divine beings. We're connecting back into our source energy and flowing back into that and receiving mode. And that's where most of us need to shift the belief system, is the receiving mode. Just tap into that energy system, tap into that conscious belief system, and don't look to what you don't have, lack, scarcity. Look to what you do have. Look to how others have created, because what others can create, they can you too can have, for the good of all, harm to none.
Look at what you've already got and be grateful for it. And that's how you then attract more of that. That's a really powerful tool that you can utilize, is gratitude. So if you find 5 cents on the floor, wow, that's 5 cents I didn't have 3 seconds ago. Be really grateful for that.
I always say that's 10 cents to my next million.
Exactly.
And he just laughs at me.
No, I don't laugh.
He gets it now.
I get it. I got it from the beginning.
I don't think you
got
heard
it
that
from the
expression though, or you hadn't heard me say it. So
I've
it's
not
like,
heard it. But I knew what you meant. I get that.
Yeah,
I
of
get
course.
that. So, and if you're not quite sure what we mean by when we say conscious relationship with money, the conscious side of things, it just means being aware, having an applied knowledge, having an awareness of what energy is, because everything's energy, and knowing how the universal laws work. That's the conscious part, because most of us are very unconscious about what money really is. So from here on in, after you've watched this podcast, if you'd like to learn more, there's stuff on YouTube. Aida's got her course coming up. We, reach out to us both, like and subscribe on my YouTube channel. That's about sharing and abundance.
Yeah.
Because you're going to receive more knowledge as more podcasts go out around conscious relationships on many other things. There's connecting deep with your partner coming up. I think we just did one about connect consciously relating with the land and being in one of the most iconic places on the planet. And we was very, very grateful that we had the abundance to go there. And
so blessed.
And be there for our birthdays as well. So, just an amazing time. And we're truly grateful for that. And our awareness of abundance, having gratitude and money enabled us to go there and having a wonderful time. But then come back and we shared that we even shared it while we was out there. And then we come back and go, let's talk about money, because you got Venus in retrograde, which is all about working on self, and money ties in with that and a whole other things that if you follow Aida's YouTube, she does monthly readings and talks about all that stuff. That's all the witchy stuff, not my jam. As much as I understand it and consciously aware of what it's all about, it's just not my thing.
I love sharing
So,
it.
so if you're into all the astrology side of things, then Aida would be more of a fit. But together, we've got this wealth of knowledge, both experienced and both applied and both learned, and we love sharing. And this is main reason I started this podcast, was to share things to enable you to learn knowledge that you can then apply to your life, that helps you change your mindset, helps you change your beliefs, that helps you, makes you feel more abundant, more loved, more wealthy, more grateful, and a whole heap of positive things, which in turn then raises your vibration. Then people think you look healthier, and it's amazing how that changes your environment. You don't actually feel you've done anything, but you just think differently.
Can we just give them 3 things?
Yeah.
Very quickly, because time is of the essence, and time is a huge resource that I value more than anything. So 3 things that you can do to start to shift your money beliefs. Whenever you speak those words that money is bad, don't have enough, can't afford that, immediately go, stop, no, I can have that. I can afford that. I'm choosing to invest in this. So shift that very, very quickly. The next time you spend money, just go, I am circulating this money. Before you even hand over the money, whether it's for coffee, lunch, food, rent, paying bills, bless your bills, by the way, say, I am circulating this money. May it come back to me threefold. I say 1,000-fold. And last time I actually got 700% back instead of 1,000% back. I'm like, hey, I'm not knocking that. Thank you, universe, for showing me more. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that you can already do immediately to shift your mindset and know that you are worthy of receiving great wealth.
Yeah. And your bills are there to show you that you're abundant.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because when was the last time you couldn't pay a bill? And I've asked this question, like when people come to me for mentoring around money specifically, and they want to, I always say, when was the last time you couldn't pay a bill? And they'll go, oh, you had to borrow some off the friend the other week. I went, but the bill still got paid, yeah? Yeah. I've never, when I've gone these questions, no one's ever said no. And I'll say, well, then you've always had the money to pay the bill. And they've sort of looked at me and gone,
Found it.
wow, the penny just drops. And that in itself shifts that belief really quickly. So a good technique is every time you get a bill,
Thank you.
paid, thank you. Even before you pay it, paid, thank you. The money will come. The money's always been there. Look at the history of those bills. It always gets paid.
Prioritize.
Which means you've always got that money because it's an infinite resource. And that's where we'll end today's podcast show. Thank you all for listening. Very, truly grateful. We'll see you in the next one. Not sure what the subject matter will be about. And this time I'll do a bit of research on my own show to know what episode it is.
We were talking about sacred energy exchange for the next one, potentially.
Oh, yes, we were. Yes.
into that one.
SEX. Conscious side of things, not the other way.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that one. So, yes, that will very likely be the next one. So definitely tune in for that one. Anyway.
Thank you, beloved.
Thank you, everyone, again. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I'd love to be seen as well as listened to. It's exactly the same show. There just might be a few more visual entertainment things through editing process, depending on what I feel like adding at the time. And you get to see this banter and fun
Our
sometimes
energy.
and a bit of outtakes because I'm pressing buttons and I'm having to lean forward and stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Time for the end tune. See you again soon.
Much love.